Boom. What's up, guys? The red light is on. It's Wednesday night. It's Ben and Bananas, and it's a pay-per-view week, International Fight Week, UFC 303. I'm Dave Van Auken. To my left, the fight of Fight Bananas, the ruthless one, Elle Dawson. Elle, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys tonight?
Doing good, doing good. And like I said, it's a pay-per-view week, so we bring in the big guns. We bring in Triple H and HBK of D-Generation X, Rafael Esparza. Raf, how are you, my man?
I am great. I've been excited to do the show because you said it. It's a great card. Last time when you were supposed to be on vacation, we were in a chat room when me and Elle were doing the show. We thought that was a dog a card. This one is barking since it's been out. So there's a lot of dogs I think that can surprise a lot of people because it's hot in Vegas. Anything can happen in July when it's 114 degrees and these guys are at the pool looking at the eye candy. Anything can happen in Vegas in the month of July.
I love it. I love it. Guys, and one thing about me, and I think both of you guys know this about me, I'm never on vacation. I work 24/7, 365. The crazy life I lead. But guys, UFC 303, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Yes, Conor McGregor's not fighting on this card. He might not ever fight again. But what they did to recoup this card and replace this card, I know people are not going to want to hear this. This is a better fight card than what it was 2 weeks ago.
100%.
Thank you.
Adding Gary and MVP, adding Diego Lopez and Brian Ortega. Yes. We get to see Alex Pereira fight Yuri for a second time. Yeah, I'm very happy with where the card's at right now.
Yeah. And then even, I know it sounds crazy, the Jamal Hill-Carlos Alberg match, I don't know, it was funky to me. I wasn't a huge fan of it, and maybe I'm wrong. I really, out of nowhere, Roman Dolidze moving up and Anthony Lionheart-Smith, it's just kind of funky. Let's see it. I'm not too sure. Guys, Jillian the Savage Robertson, Fight Bananas families fighting on this card. It's stacked. Guys, Alex Pereira is in the main event. That's all I got to say. A lot of odds. I was talking off air with our guy, Rafael. The main event, the favorites minus 140. The is minus 145. Ian Gary's one of the most popular guys in the biggest guy, minus 155. All the odds are close. There's not minus 500s. Makhachev was a big 550 guy against Poirier. All these odds are close. That means a lot of bettable fights, a lot of stuff to get into. Elle, let's start with you. Best bet on the card. Let's make money and keep it moving. What you got for us?
The best bet on the card is Jillian Robertson at under minus 200. Dude, Jill is being so undervalued here. It's kind of nuts. And I think the reason why is because Michelle Waterson Gomez is an absolute legend, and rightfully so. She has been in the UFC for so long. She's had some legendary fights, but I do think she's slowed down a bit. And unfortunately, she's taken a lot of damage in her last several fights. And I feel like she's fought all these killers lately, which is why Jillian is being so undervalued. But the striking of Waterson doesn't have the same danger factor that it used to have. And I just don't think she's going to be able to keep G off of her. Jillian is so relentless with the wrestling. And she'll pull guard if she has to, and she can win fights that way. She's one of the few people who has the submission skills to be able to do that. I don't think she'll have to do that in this case. I think she's just going to cut off the cage until she eventually tracks down Waterson, gets her against the cage, clenches up, drags her to the mat. And I feel like we will definitely see a TKO submission victory at that point. However, Waterson is a beast. She's been in there with a lot of high-level fighters. I could see her being defensively sound on the ground as well. So I think minus 180 is phenomenal value right now for Jillian Robertson at the money line. Take the finish if you want, but I feel like the money line is great value too.
Triple down, quadruple down, October down, whatever you want to say. I love it.
I didn't think you'd agree with me, Dave.
Absolutely.
I'm a little bit shocked as well.
What do you think about this? We talked a little bit off air. I will keep that conversation between us.
Yeah, I would keep that. But why is she not minus 250 around there? I don't understand this. I mean, last time I saw Michelle, she lost again. She's lost 4 straight. And I told people when this card was being sketched out before Conor pulled out and all that, and they agreed that someone was going to lay their gloves on the octagon and retire. And it's still going to happen. I think Michelle loses. I think she lays it down. And does douches out, but she's a legend. No, I'm not saying that she's going to lose her fifth street and she stinks and all that. She's been in there with some big names, and no, it's a young man sport and young girl sports. And last time I checked, we don't get younger, we get older. So I just think the damage you said, Al, it adds up and adds up and adds up. And
the Marina Rodriguez fight alone.
Yes.
But then before that as well, it's a lot of damage.
The Lemos fight was bad. I mean, when she lost to Lemos, I thought she looked really. I hate to say this. I thought she looked bad at that fight as well. But I just think she lays down in the gloves, and I thought it was going to be Connor laying down the gloves and say, "Hey, you know what? I got to go film 3 movies. I just bought BKFC. I'm buying something else. Deuces, Triple H is calling me." Or some of that. I mean, I thought he was just going to do that and just name his companies and lay the gloves out. But someone's still going to lay the gloves down, I believe, on Saturday.
And the last thing on this, and dude, we have so much love and respect and appreciation for Jillian. She was on the show Tuesday. She's been on the show more than any other guest. What she does is Michelle's Waterson Gomez's weakness. It's a great matchup. It just is. Like, am I wrong, El? Like, we're not saying this to be very homerish. It's just what G is great at. That's where Michelle is a little weak at, guys. I think inside the distance is barking. I love G to get the job done and get her out. So there we go. Best on the board, Jillian Savage Robertson.
The only thing that scares me about inside, I think Michelle knows that this could be her last one. So I think she's going to go out with heart, and she's maybe try to go for the distance. And that's the only thing that scares me. I said I wouldn't lay anything higher than 220. If it goes that high, then maybe look at submission, maybe look at other stuff to win this one. But I just think right now it's got to be in her head that this is my last fight. I mean, you're losing 4 straight.
Yeah, and I feel like she might stay safe. Like when she gets taken down, I can see her trying to, instead of trying to get back to her feet, which opens up, being able to take the back, being able to attack front head. If she just stays on her back and hugs, I can see her stalling a lot on the ground, just trying to stay safe. Be like, okay, we'll try again next round, because like you said, she's going to want to go out on her shield if it's her last one.
Really good point. Very good point. All right. Best bet, Jillian Savage Robertson. Underdog play. We got MVP as an underdog. We got Yuri Prochazka as an underdog. We got Diego Lopez as an underdog. Where me and Ruth. Wait, is it Ortega's a dog?
Last time I checked, Ortega was plus 120.
Whoa.
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, it's plus 120. There's actually plus 125s out there. BetMGM has plus 125.
Ooh, yeah. So here's my thing. I'm not picking any of these dogs that I'm about to say, but these lines are so close and the fights are so close that it's worth taking these dogs. And that is everybody you just said. Michael Venom Page, Yuri Prochazka, and Brian Ortega. I do think Diego Lopez will beat Brian Ortega. However, I do. However, this is absolutely a fight that Brian Ortega can win. He is very strong in the area that Diego Lopez is strongest in. I just think Diego Lopez has more power on the feet. However, this is his biggest test. So out of those 3, I am the most confident that Brian Ortega will get the job done. Once again, these are not my picks. I think Diego Lopez will win, but there is good value on Brian Ortega for just being an absolute veteran and having, a lot of strength in the grappling positions. Did you guys see Yuri Prochazka's video about Alex's the magic? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently Alex Pereira only beat him because he has magic. And he has shamans that do rituals.
I do not like this. I'm not even joking, guys. I don't like this. What did I say to you? The Volkanovski fight versus Islam. I was young. I was like, bet everything on Islam. Like when I see stuff during the week and hear things, I'm telling you, it's a big tell of where you are at mentally and physically in this fight. When I heard this on Yuri and I picked Yuri for the last 2 weeks. I was like, dude, a rematch, the revenge factor, all that. Pereira was on the other side of the country, his broken toes. I love Yuri. When I heard this today, I'm not even joking. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Alexa's going to knock this man out again.
There's 2 sides to this, though. Hear me out. So it can be similar to our conversation about Valentina yesterday of like her excuse of she only lost the fight because it was Mexican Independence Day in Vegas. I don't know. So she won't fight again on Mexican Independence Day. If you're the champion, you can win the belt in every country, on every holiday, like no matter what, right? Like if you are the champ, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter who, when you fight, obviously things happen, but if you are truly the best in the world, it should not matter. I feel like this thing that Yuri is doing, it could be an excuse. And if it's an excuse, then that's a negative. That's a point against him. If he's trying to make excuses for himself already, that's a bad thing. Now, the other side of that coin is he could be saying this because he actually believes it and he's certifiably insane. In which case, that could be a positive and a point for Yuri Prochazka, because that's why we love him, because he's freaking crazy. But here's my question for Yuri Prochazka. If you think that the only reason Alex Pereira is winning is because he's doing all these rituals, why aren't you doing that? Like, if you believe that it works, why wouldn't you just do it too?
Yeah, dude, I've been following this sport and talking about this sport and covering this sport for a long time. When I heard that today, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in MMA history. And not even that. The funny thing is, I don't know if you heard, so that was literally around noon or 2. He doubled down on it. He said it again tonight. Yeah, there you go, Roth. Yeah, he's doubled down on it. I'm like, oh my goodness, I do not like this at all. I'm telling you.
And I can guarantee he'll say it in a press conference. He'll say it in one of the, he'll say it again. And that's why I tell people, I mean, working in Vegas for 15 years and stuff like that. And I had to do a lot of stuff for poker, just because the poker players were big bettors. So I had to do odds for World Series of Poker. And I used to tell people, when you find someone's tell in anything, poker, basketball, and stuff like that, it's such a weak spot. And I don't care if people are like, oh, I was joking, I don't want to fight on Mexican Independence Day, but that's, you are showing your tell. And that just shows right there that you have some kind of doubt in your head. Maybe it's only 10%, maybe it's only 5%, but you have that doubt in your head. So yeah, I saw that and I put a big X. I'm not touching this fight. I'll watch it, I'll cheer for it, but I am not betting this fight because I don't know, because I think Pereira, to me, I think he's slowing down a little bit. You see all these training sessions, he's sparring and all that. I think he's slowing down a little bit. I would go back and watch 2 years of his tape of sparring. He's much quicker. He's much thinner. I think his punches are slowing down a little bit. So I just don't like this fight now because the tells are showing me something and Pereira is telling me something. So I'm just going to sit back and hopefully it ends so I can go to bed early.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Don't bet this fight, guys.
Yeah. Or the under. Is the under 2.5?
I think over. It was 1.5 when I looked.
It's 1.5 minus 160, but I can guarantee you both books have them both 1.5 and 2.5 because I think DraftKings had 2.5 under minus 150.
I like the over 1.5. I don't like the over 2.5.
I agree. I think it's under 2.5 rounds. This does to me. This fight doesn't get to the third round. To me. No, I agree. Real quick. I know there's one dog I want to throw at you, Elle, and I know he's a friend, so I know it could be a little tricky, but this is what we are.
There's no friends in MMA.
Dude, Joe Pfeiffer at minus 275. I'm sorry, I'm not a believer in it right now. I know he's
really
coming off an L. Yeah, I don't like it at 275. I just think it's too rich. I think he should be the favorite, and I do think he's going to win. But you're giving me Mark Andrade, like the veteran, at plus 220. That's a lot of juice. A lot.
I really like this fight for Joe Pfeiffer. I think this is the perfect comeback fight. Joe Pfeiffer clearly won the first 2 rounds against Jack Hermanson. That was a 5-round fight. He's back to 3. I like this spot for him a lot. Okay. I really do. And the fact that he got submitted by Anthony Hernandez as well makes me like this even more for Joe Pfeiffer. Joe Pfeiffer is a phenomenal wrestler, and he is a super explosive athlete. And I think he'll win the first 2 rounds easily. And if he slows down in the third like he did in his last fight, it won't be a problem because I just don't think Mark Andre's not a huge finisher. Like, it happens for sure. He finishes some guys, but I don't think he's finishing a guy like Joe Pfeiffer.
This might open up at $2.
What's
that's what I mean. Like, Ruff,
he opened up a $2 favor and got better. He'll probably close to $3 because DraftKings has minus 290.
He's the third biggest favorite on the card.
Get it now, then. I think that's a lot. I think that's a lock, Dave. I really do. I think it's a great parlay piece. I would parlay that. He's in my parlay. Spoiler alert.
She said the L word. Oh,
Whoa,
never say that.
A great matchup for him. I feel like his wrestling is too good.
You never say the L word though, lock. You never say. It doesn't matter.
All right, here we
was a lock
go.
against Brock Lesnar.
That's bad karma.
That's going to transition in the business. Let's get into a 3-fight parlay with Miss L. Dawson. Little spoiler alert on the first one. So we're going with Joe Pyfer in the first.
Joe Pyfer is the first leg of the parlay. The second leg of my parlay is, I think, a little bit riskier, but I'm taking Roman Dolidze. Okay. I was seeing a lot of people liking Anthony Smith in this spot, and I absolutely understand why. He's coming off this huge win against Petrino. Petrino was a big contender. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, Anthony Smith crushes contenders. Here's the problem. Dolidze already had his contender crushing moment, and it was Imavov, who we are definitely going to see fighting for a title soon. Like, it's going to happen. What?
Imanov's going to fight for a title?
Eventually. Yeah, in the next, couple years, I could see that, absolutely.
No, a couple years, I mean.
Yeah, I would say year and a half. I expect to see him fight for a title. That's soon. That's a year and a half.
Let me write that down.
I think we'll see him fight for a title in recent history. Is that, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. In the next year and a half, Dave. I do. And I think I feel like Dolidze is very, very good in the areas where he can create a lot of danger for Anthony Smith. And I feel like he might slow down. So my only concern with Dolidze here is his cardio, because sometimes he does overexert himself. But I do think he can very handily win the first 2 rounds. And he's super tough. Like, we saw this in the Imavov fight. Like, dude has 0 quit in him. We saw this in the Marvin Vettori fight. I don't think Anthony Smith is putting him away in that 3rd round, even if he wins the 3rd. Which, he very well may. Smith has cardio for days, whether it's short notice, full camp. If Anthony Smith gets up off the couch, he can fight 5 rounds. He looks tired the whole time he's doing it, but he keeps the same freaking pace.
He does.
No matter what. So he absolutely may win this 3rd round, but I think Dolidze has the tools to get him down. He has the power on the feet to give him some problems and set up his takedowns. I also think that Anthony Smith is going to be a little guillotine happy after coming off of a guillotine win. And I think Roman Dolidze is going to do a lot of wrestling. I can absolutely see him really, really trying to get that guillotine and committing to it and ending up on his back a lot in this fight. So I know it's up at 205. I like this for Roman Dolidze. I think it's a good spot. So Joe Pyfer, Roman Dolidze, and then I have the Charles Jourdain and Jean Silva fight going over 2.5 rounds. I know Silva got a 1st-round KO in his debut. Weston Wilson has been finished several times. I think Jourdain is a much, much more durable guy. He very rarely gets finished. He's had some really close fights with some really heavy hitters. I haven't seen enough from Silva to pick a winner in this fight. I feel like Charles Jourdain is a guy who can beat a lot of guys, but sometimes he has these really, really close fights, like the Woodson fight, the Shane Burgos fight. And so he's kind of a wild card for me. And I feel like we just haven't seen enough from Silva. Also, Silva's finishes outside the UFC, he has plenty. However, if you look at the strength of schedule, it's quite low. And I'm not saying he won't do well in the UFC, but if you look at these guys who have a ton of finishes on the regional scene and their level of competition is fairly low, they tend to not finish in the UFC just because the jump in competition is so much higher. So I like the over there. So that is my 3-fight parlay.
I like it. Pyfer, Roman, over. Roth, I had $10 to win $16. What is that? Is that plus 60?
Plus 160.
Plus 160. There you go. Plus 160. There you go. Okay. I like that. All right. One thing I'll say real quick on that. I don't know why it's a gut feeling. It's and I know you're gonna be like, really, Dave, with WWE and UFC working together, they're showing that Anthony Smith and Alex Pereira, that storyline's building. I don't know if you watch Embedded. Alex is fighting in the UFC game. He fought against Anthony Smith. They've been kind of chewing at each other a couple of times. I can see they're on the same fight card. I think Anthony gets the job done. I think in a weird way, they throw Alex a bone. 8 months from now, it's like, here, you've done us a couple good solids. Here's Anthony Smith in a main event for a free payday for you. So I know you think.
But how does that make, just because you think they want to make that fight, you think Anthony Smith beats Delite?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a tough one because Delise is coming in a short notice, and you mentioned that he has cardio issues at times. So I don't like to face fighters that have cardio issues on short notice.
After he has cardio issues after 2 rounds, he's pretty consistent.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but
that's all he
short
needs.
notice.
First two.
I like Pfeiffer to win. I just thought he was juiced a little high. And then the over. I can see that for sure. They're both super tough, so I like it. But yeah, I do like that one. But like any Jourdain fight to me is always tough. Like feels like he can get finished in any round. He can finish his opponent any round, and usually he does go 15 minutes.
He hasn't been finished that much.
No,
No,
I know he does it, but it looks like he can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he can. But it's like always like really good grapplers. Like Julian.
I don't know why it makes sense. It's a guy thing. I oddly like your logic, Dave. Look at Greg right here. I'm telling you, in the Magic, Anthony Smith and Alex Pereira is fighting in 8 months. It's happened. I don't know, but hey, I mean,
I could see them still doing that even somehow, even if Delise wins this fight, because Delise will go back down anyway.
True. Right, 3-5 parlay. Anything there to pick it up? You love it. You hate it. What?
I like the total. I mean, it opened up at minus 150, got bet all the way up someplace at minus 170. So that just tells me right there that the betting public agrees with you on that one. That one screams the distance on that one. So I can see that happening. Again, I'm not saying Roman's going to win or lose, but what scares me just because short notice, and I get big win from Anthony Smith. I agree with you. I think he's guaranteed happy. He's probably going to try for that one. So if he gets laid on his back, then I think he loses by decision. But that one just has a couple question marks for me. For underdog, I like MVP. I mean, he's such an awkward fighter. You can't prepare. Me and Dave were having a discussion. You can't prepare for him. You can't call someone and say, hey, can you come spar with me? You look like him or you fight like him. There's no one that fights like him, period. So how you prepare for that? I'm actually a little bit shocked at the price. I thought it was going to be close to maybe minus 120 both sides, or a little small favorite here, small favorite here. I think the betting public opened up at minus 130, got pushed all the way to minus 150. I think the betting public will bet MVP in Vegas. I think they'll probably bet that one. It's going to be an interesting card, betting wise, volume wise. I think you guys can agree with me. When you have a Conor McGregor card, the betting volume is going to go up through the roof. Pay-per-views are going to go up through the roof. Yes, we all agree this is a better fight card. Is it a better pumped up UFC 303 blowout the pay-per-view numbers card? That's two different things of a Conor card and a really good fight card. I really want to see how much money gets put into these fights, where fights move 20, 30, 40 cents after weigh-ins, where we see something like that. I'm more curious on that one, because is the tension there, knowing that the attention is the fight going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Oh, now he's not happening. Now we have a new main. Who wants to do the main event? I heard the phones were ringing off the hook. Dana White called me and wanted to know if I wanted to go, if I was in town. I'm very curious for a numbers guy during the whole 24 hours before weigh-in and after weigh-in. What numbers move on a big card? Are they moving 20 cents, 30 cents, and stuff like that? So this one's going to be very interesting for me. And again, best card that they probably made in a probably short notice, and probably an improved card now that Conor's not in here. But I'm going to be very interesting to see what the numbers look like at the end of the day.
Maybe the last question for you, Rafa, and we can go, or El, if you want to talk about Ortega or Lopez or anything like that, we can always stay. But a question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, Rafael. So right now I'm looking at Ian Gary minus 155, MVP plus 125. So now weigh-ins happen. They look at each other. The crowd gets pumped. All of a sudden, MVP gets juiced, right? They like him. He gets juiced. All of a sudden, he's like a, maybe a minus 110, right? Does that make you do you like that side more, or do you like that side less?
Probably like the more or less. Now, I'm probably gonna have a little of that plus money bet before they get in the ring. Now, if I'm starting to have and doubts, then that's when you start looking at live betting. Okay, maybe I can lay off on my tickets. oh, I didn't like the way he did look coming into the ring or the octagon or stuff like that, that's when you can get off money on live betting and stuff like that. Right now, I'm looking at, because Gary, what's the crowd going to be like? If this was a counter crowd, then I think the counter crowd would be all over Gary. So who's the crowd really going to be on? Because I think the crowd of some of these fighters are totally going to be different because of Conor and Chandler not being there. So I want to see what the crowd noise is going to be there for both fighters.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Quick question from our main man, Sean Sterling. I saw your Knicks comments. Big trade last night. I totally agree. Very happy as a Knicks fan. Do you think Hill and Alberg happens at 305? No way. I think Jamal Hill is very banged up.
Got a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Meniscus tear.
Yeah. And he's not going to go fight in Perth, Australia. Not going to happen. He'll fight in maybe New York or Vegas at the end of the year if he fights in 2024.
I'm seeing 2025. 2025, you see him.
Who do they put? What is Yolberg out with? Do you know?
Oh, that I don't know. I
don't know.
I haven't seen what specifically he's out for. So hopefully it's something like, who do they give him instead of Jamal Hill then if he fights, if he just wants to be on the Perth card, in your opinion?
You know what? Volkan. I think Volkan Ozdemir is a great matchup.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
I like that a lot.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good one.
We all kind of forgot about Volkan. He thought he was like getting old. And then he was like, no, guys, I'm still here.
Well, so, he is old. I mean, he is getting old.
And I know it's Johnny Walker, and it's just that's what happens. You look awful or great against Johnny Walker. Volkan looked awesome, though. He looked really good. Chris, hands was fast. He looked good. Good call by Dave. Thank you,
poor
Sean.
Johnny Walker. I think he's still laying out right now.
Gassing you up today.
He's making it up for always beating me up for two straight months. I've been sending them merch for 2 months. But all right, I think we're done, guys. Huge card, huge main event. Yuri and Alex Pereira, Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez, maybe a #1 contendership fight, maybe the most intriguing fight on the card. Ian Gary versus MVP to kick off the pay-per-view card. Stack card. Our girl Jillian Savage Robertson. We will be doing a live watch along with multiple guests coming on. Roth, if you are around, or Elle, if you're around, jump on through. We're gonna be having multiple guests. Probably talking to Jillian that night after she talks on a win. Guys, anything else? Anything else you want to chat about, or we're good?
No, I'm excited for this card, and like I said, now that it's a slow time in my sports of everything going on, I can finally kick back and enjoy this UFC 3. There's no playoffs going on in any sport, so I can actually kind of relax now that the debate will be over tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about that tomorrow.
Did you bet on the handshake if they handshake or not?
I have 283 different types of ways you can bet the presidential debate.
Isn't that crazy, El? No, like, dude, I saw someone put $5,000 that they do handshake on it. I saw that bet out there.
People will bet on anything.
I know. It's wild.
Well, I always have a job.
I love that.
I love it. Guys, next week, UFC Denver, but maybe more important, Elle Dawson and myself will be live in Anaheim, California. Nate Diaz, Jorge Gamebred, Masvidal will be out there live. We cannot wait. It's going to be pretty awesome. So maybe no Ben and Bananas next week.
Ooh, we forgot. We forgot, Dave. You made a banana bet with Maddie over Pereira versus Prochazka. Are you voiding the banana bet since you are taking?
I am a man of my word. I will not void anything. I will not void. I will not go back on anything. I do not like where that man's at. You're talking about magic on a Wednesday of a championship fight week? Like, that's awful. That is awful. I wish I could change it to Brian Ortega. I want all my odds. I want all my dude. I'm taking my girls' college fund is washed away. I got Jillian Savage Robertson, Brian Ortega money. That's all. I got money in.
I think you're safe with the female bets. The Ortega, like I said, that's a question mark.
I don't know why. I love that bet. I love it. I love it. Love it. All right, guys, we're out of here. Rafael Esparza. Dude, tell me one of the 9 podcasts you got going on. Show some love to you.
I know. Tomorrow it's crazy. I'm on MSNBC tomorrow. I'm on a whole bunch of stuff that I've never been on talking debate odds. So it's going to be very interesting. Catch me out on DTL, Driving the Line with Jonathan Coachman, Monday through Thursday, doing his wrestling podcast, Behind the Turnbuckle. We have who do we have coming up? We have a female. I forget who we have. We have a female coming up. An old female wrestler that's going to be on the show. So in 2 weeks, it should be fantastic. But
Molly
doing
Holly.
that, I mean. No, not Molly Holly. I wish it was them.
Victoria.
We just got done doing The Godfather. I was hoping he would bring some of his whole trains on there, but he didn't. He came solo. So, but
No idea what you guys are talking
I know L. Dawson is so lost right now. Guys,
I
we're
have
out of here.
no
Yuri Prochazka is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship Saturday night if he gets off magic and just fights his heart out. L, you're the
bringing his
best.
own shamans.
We'll see.
bring a sword into the ring or the octagon. Bring a sword in there.
What is he doing? You're talking about magic on Wednesday of a fight week? Are you crazy? All right, guys. We'll see you guys later. Tomorrow night, Boxing Bananas. And then we got our live show Saturday night. We'll see everyone there. Huge free giveaways from HK USA. We're out. Later, guys. I got to push 4 buttons, so at least 8 more seconds.